What happened to the FPS campaign? Growing up in the odds, the FPS campaign was the bread and butter of the industry. While yes, there was some homogeny, there were also plenty of bangers being made. I'm talking Red Faction, Time Splitters, Halos 1, 2, 3, ODST, and Reach, my dude. While the genre would lean more and more towards focusing on the online component, FPS campaigns stayed fairly consistent through the 2010s. Yet in recent years, there's been a noticeable downturn in the amount of FPS campaigns we're getting and the quality of them, with no game really driving home that point, quite like Call of Duty Black Ops 7. While that is a historically bad FPS campaign, diving into my backlog really drove home what that game is lacking. So before I get into it, let's establish a clear framework by what I mean in an FPS campaign. Generally, linear level design is key. There have been plenty of open world looter shooters like Borderlands, that's not really what I'm talking about. Also, shooting is the primary mechanic, not role-playing, so I wouldn't put something like Cyberpunk 2077 in this, because while yes, it is first-person and you do shoot guns, you can also, hack your way through it, or just talk your way through it if you really want to. So the backlog games I played for this video were Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, which I originally purchased in 2015 on the PS4. Call me Jim Cameron the way I take 10 years to finish a couple bangers. If you haven't played the Metro games, here's a little rundown on what they're about. The Metro games take place in 2033, years after humanity condemned itself in a nuclear blaze. The surface is plagued with lethal levels of radiation, with vicious mutated animals and mysterious creatures called the Dark Ones threatening what's left of humanity. As a result, everyone still alive resides in a series of makeshift cities built throughout the Moscow Metro. In Metro 2033, you play as Artem, a young man who must go on a journey throughout the Metro to the capital of Polis to convince a group of soldiers to help protect your city from the threat posed by the Dark Ones. It's not an easy journey, as you have to deal with the scarcity of ammo and gas mask filters. You're not only worrying about the mutated creatures, but also your fellow man. There's bandits throughout the Metro, and at one point you find yourself caught up in a never-ending war between Nazis and Stalinists. It's great to know that even in the post-apocalypse, there's still Nazis who just absolutely brutalize. Throughout Artyom's journey, he's also hit with strange hallucinations related to the Dark Ones. Last Light is the direct follow-up, and by virtue of not wanting to get too spoilery, all I'll say is that it involved Artyom navigating many of the same dangers while also uncovering the mystery of the Dark Ones. So now that the story's out of the way, let's get to the heart of what they do well. The Metro games are just a perfect exercise in atmosphere and world building. Post-apocalyptic landscapes aren't particularly novel in gaming, but the way Metro goes about it is. The underground setting has a surprising amount of unique level design, with each city having its own personality. You'd think a series set in a bunch of tunnels wouldn't have that much level variety, but you'd be wrong. One of the big standouts in the first game is a sequence where you're sneaking through the no man's land of a battle between the Nazis and the Red Guard. It's tense, as you have no allegiance to either army, so you will get lit up if either side catches you. Quite frankly, tension is what these games do best. It is the anti-power fantasy, where you end each level just happy you survived. The notes you find throughout the levels have a surprising amount of literary depth, which isn't entirely surprising considering the games are based off books and their author, Dmitry Glukhovsky, was an essential collaborator on the games. There's actually a philosophical depth in each game, with one of the larger themes being that the end of the world didn't satiate humanity's appetite for destruction. There's this constant push and pull between hope and nihilism. Now, these games aren't perfect. There are some instances of dumb AI which really undercuts the stealth, particularly in Last Light. Some of the AI companions can be annoying, because finding filters for your gas mask isn't always easy and they have a time limit attached to them, which can suck if you're on the surface with limited filters and your AI companion feels the need to dick around. I'm speaking specifically about a stage in Metro Last Light that was not a fan. And it really sucked, because the occasional partners you find really do add a lot to the game's storytelling and drive home many of the core themes. They are both a real strength and occasional frustration. But overall, the Metro games are really some of the most unique takes on the FPS genre I've played in some time, and I'd highly recommend checking them out if they happen to be in your backlog. The shooter genre has evolved dramatically in the decade plus since these games were released. What was once the bread and and butter of the industry has largely fallen to the wayside in favor of live services. I mean, in the last 10 years, both the quality and quantity of FPS games has fallen dramatically. I mean, 2016 had Doom, Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1, and while they weren't campaigns, Superhot and Overwatch also pushed the genre forward in interesting ways. And while Wolfenstein 2 dropped the following year, it'd be the arrival of Fortnite Battle Royale and Destiny 2 that would signal the future of the genre. While there's been the occasional Doom entry and outliers like Immortals of Avalon, story-driven FPS games have largely fallen out of fashion. And the ones we do get have often been lesser entries in beloved franchises, which brings us to Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which I am not being hyperbolic when I say this is one of the worst FPS campaigns I have ever played. It's functional, sure, but I've rarely played anything so soulless. It sold itself as a sequel to Black Ops 2, but that quickly goes out of the window in the first few minutes when the reappearance of Raul Menendez is revealed to be a deepfake meant to draw David Mason and his squad into the weird techno virus that causes all the hallucinatory bullshit. Here's the thing, I'm not mad at Black Ops 7 for being weird. I'm mad at it for being a half-assed attempt that's too lazy to even do something meaningful with the Black Ops 2 story element it's pulling from. Black Ops 2 is trying something new, especially with its take on future warfare. Black Ops 7 is both poorly rehashing the past and failing at the new things it tries. It's not like a trippy psychological horror take on an FPS war game can't work. Spec Ops The Line did it 14 years ago.
With a box of scraps!
So I was playing the Metro games and Black Ops 7 like at the same time while making this video, which really drove home how much Black Ops 7 fails to just hit the basic fundamentals. And now I know what you're thinking, Joe, it's a little unfair to compare the two games. They're completely different takes on the genre. And you know what? I hear you. You're right. So that's why I beat another game in my backlog for this video.
Remember, no Russian.
I finally got around to playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered, and let me tell ya, that game still bangs. While the Metro games highlight the lack of variety in the shooter space these days, Modern Warfare 2 just goes to show how the franchise mainstays simply aren't trying as hard as they used to. The Modern Warfare 2 campaign starts at 10 and rarely lets up the throttle. Its 17 missions range from snowmobile chases, running guns, to a whole ass terrorist attack. Escalation is the name of the game. Just when you think the game has thrown everything it can at you, suddenly you're running through DC trying to avoid helicopters as they rain from the sky. The thing that the Metro games and Modern Warfare 2 do have in common is a commitment to atmosphere. While in Metro that's a focus on tension and a general feeling of helplessness, in Modern Warfare 2 it's just non-stop bombast. The level design in both games exudes thoughtfulness. There's a real consideration given to pacing and variety. Compare that to last year's Black Ops 7 that oscillated between flat, open-world filler levels and psychedelic nonsense devoid of tension. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like COD was the pinnacle of storytelling in video games, but it did give me characters to care about and vibes to catch at the very least. Modern Warfare 2 is a game I played countless times on the 360, and Shepard's betrayal is a gut punch each time. It perfectly puts you in the headspace of Soap and Price on their road to revenge to the end of the game. And here's the thing, I honestly think that solid FPS campaigns could be the thing to reinvigorate the genre. One need only look at the general apathy towards Concord, Highguard, and Bungie's upcoming marathon to see that the fabled modern audience is getting a bit bored of the standard FPS live service game. I mean, yeah, Marvel Rivals has been the outlier, but it's got caked up superheroes, so obviously it was going to build an audience. I think the success of games like Clair Obscur and Arc Raiders shows that there's a real appetite for mid-budget AA games. Standalone 8 to 10 hour first person shooter campaign would be a hard sell at $60 to $70 these days, but in that 30-40 range, I think people could buy in because, like, honestly, it doesn't need to be the most graphically demanding thing. Just have a fun art style and tight gunplay and you got yourself a game. I mean, Basically, Warhammer 40k bolt gun did what I'm describing.
With a box of scraps!
At the end of the day, I just want to see the FPS equivalent of something like Hi-Fi Rush, because while I've spent a lot of time harping on COD, Battlefield 6's campaign wasn't much to write home about either. The genre is lacking, and for someone like me who still enjoys that type of game, it sucks. As for COD, I honestly think that the path forward is Black Ops 4. While it did get a lot of flack for shipping without a campaign, I'd honestly rather a COD game just deliver on some good multiplayer, zombies for the folks that dig that, and maybe a fun take on the extraction shooter. Some years if you have a developer with a strong take, COD has a campaign. Other years it's a multiplayer suite. Because under the current process, these campaigns just don't have much heart anymore. It's sad that what was once a forward-thinking, boundary-pushing aspect of the series has just felt like an obligation. Honestly, with how many studios Microsoft owns, there's no reason COD campaigns need to be siloed off to the same 4 studios. I'd love to see a developer like Machine Games give their take on a COD campaign, because it's clear the current way of doing business simply isn't working. Do I think Microslop is capable of meaningful change? No. But a boy can dream. But until then, I might just keep revisiting old FPS bangers so I can get that particular kind of thrill. So with that, I've been Joe, this has been Taste, thanks for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.